The Seahawks just made a move so bold it feels like a glitch in the Matrix. A new quarterback, not a project, not a bridge, but someone who believes the only acceptable outcome is another trophy in the case. While the rest of the league questions the sanity of this decision, Seattle's locker room is buzzing with a tension that feels electric. This isn't just a signing, it's a declaration. The veteran presence they've added doesn't just throw passes. He throws expectations, challenging every single player to meet his standard or get out of the way. The plan isn't secret anymore. Win now or burn it all down. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So the headlines are starting to pop up everywhere, and they are getting pretty loud, Seattle Seahawks fans. It feels like we have been talking about the same thing for months now, the Geno Smith situation, the contract, the future of the franchise. And honestly, it has felt a little bit like Groundhog Day. Every single day, we wake up, check the news, and it is the same conversations on repeat. But today, something feels different. Today, the rumor mill has kicked into overdrive. And I have to tell you, the whispers are getting harder and harder to ignore. It is starting to sound like the Seattle front office might be getting ready to make a move that absolutely nobody saw coming, a move that could completely reshape not just the NFC West, but the entire Super Bowl conversation for next season. Now, before we dive into the deep end here, I want to be really clear with you about something. We are in the thick of the offseason, which means we are swimming in a sea of speculation, rumors, and a whole lot of smoke. Sometimes that smoke leads to a fire, and sometimes it just fades away and nothing happens. But the volume of chatter coming out of credible sources right now, specifically about the Seahawks and their quarterback room, it is getting loud enough that we have to pay attention. We have to ask the question, what is John Schneider really planning behind closed doors? Everyone has been operating under the assumption that Geno Smith is the guy for at least one more year, and maybe that is still true. But the NFL does not wait for anyone, and it certainly does not care about assumptions. The Seahawks have a roster that on paper is absolutely loaded with young talent on both sides of the ball. You look at that defense with guys like Devin Witherspoon and Rick Woolen, and the potential of Byron Murphy. The defensive line is getting younger and more explosive, and offensively, you have DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith, Najigba and Kenny Walker in the backfield. This is not a roster that is looking to rebuild. This is a roster that believes it is ready to contend right now. The only question mark, the biggest elephant in the room, is the guy under center and whether he can elevate this group from a playoff team to a Super Bowl champion. Geno Smith had a fantastic comeback story. Nobody can take that away from him. He came in, stepped up, and proved a lot of people wrong. But the reality of the NFL is a harsh one. It is a what have you done for me lately league. And when you watch the film from last season, there are some concerns that are hard to ignore. The turnovers at critical moments, the hesitation in the pocket when things broke down. It felt like there were moments where the offense stalled out, not because of the play calling or the receivers, but because the quarterback just could not find that extra gear that separates the good from the great. And that brings us to the rumor that has the entire league buzzing right now. There is a growing belief around the league that the Seahawks are not just kicking the tires on a potential upgrade. They might be aggressively pursuing one. The names being thrown around are the kinds of names that make you stop and refresh your Twitter feed just to make sure you are reading it correctly. We are talking about the possibility of a blockbuster trade for a veteran quarterback who has already proven he can win at the highest level. We are talking about a guy who has been to the big game, who has the arm talent and the competitive fire to walk into that locker room and instantly command respect. Think about the landscape of the NFC right now. It is wide open. The San Francisco 49ers are dealing with their own quarterback questions and the health of Christian McCaffrey. The Detroit Lions are good, but they have not proven they can get over the hump. The Eagles are reloading, And the Cowboys are, well, they are the Cowboys. The point is there is a window open right now for a team like Seattle to step up and seize control of the conference. And the front office knows that windows in the NFL do not stay open for very long. You have to strike while the iron is hot. So who could it be? That is the million-dollar question. And honestly, that is where it gets really interesting, because the Seahawks have a history of being unpredictable. John Schneider loves to operate in the shadows. He loves to make moves that catch the rest of the league off guard. And if he is truly looking to make a splash at the quarterback position, it is not going to be some middle-of-the-road bridge quarterback. It is going to be a statement, a declaration that the Seahawks are ready to run it back and compete for another. One name that keeps surfacing in these conversations is a quarterback who might be available due to a complicated contract situation, and a team that is looking to reset their own cap space and build for the future. Imagine for a second a player with a cannon for an arm, a player who has experience in big moments, and a player who would instantly become the most talented quarterback this franchise has had since a certain someone decided to unretire and go play for another team. The fit makes a lot of sense. When you think about it, you have a coordinator in Ryan Grubb who is known for his creative passing attacks and his ability to maximize the talent around him. Plugging in a veteran with elite physical tools into that system with the weapons the Seahawks already have, it is the kind of thought that should keep defensive coordinators in the NFC West up at night. But let us not get too carried away yet, because there is another layer to this. The cost acquiring a quarterback of that caliber is not cheap. You are talking about giving up significant draft capital, probably multiple day 1 and day 2 picks. And that is before you even get to the financial commitment. These guys do not come cheap, and the Seahawks would have to get creative with the salary cap to make it work. They would have to restructure deals. They would have to push money into future years. And they would have to be absolutely certain that this move is the one that puts them over the top. Because mortgaging the future when you are one piece away is smart. Mortgaging the future when you are still a tier below the elite teams can set you back years. And then there is the Geno Smith factor. What happens to him if the Seahawks do make a move for a big-name quarterback? Do they keep him as an expensive backup? That seems highly unlikely given his salary cap number. More likely they would look to trade him and recoup some of the assets they just spent to acquire his replacement. And there would absolutely be a market for a starting caliber quarterback like Geno Smith. There are plenty of teams around the league who would love to have a veteran presence like him to steady their ship. So it is not impossible to think the Seahawks could pull off a trade for a star and then flip Geno to another team for a mid-round pick or two. It sounds crazy, but in the NFL, crazy is just another Tuesday. Another angle to consider is the possibility that the Seahawks are looking at the draft. There is a lot of buzz about this quarterback class being deeper than people initially thought. And Seattle holds some interesting cards. They have the ammo to move up if they fall in love with a prospect. Imagine if a guy like J.J. McCarthy or Drake May started to slide on draft night. Do you think John Schneider would hesitate to pick up the phone and try to jump ahead of a team like the Giants or the Vikings to grab his guy? It is absolutely within the realm of possibility. The Seahawks have never been afraid to be aggressive in the draft. They have traded up for players they believed in before. And if they truly believe that a young quarterback on a rookie contract is the key to building a sustainable winner, they have the capital to go get him. But let us circle back to the veteran route for a second, because that is where the Super Bowl talk really heats up. Adding a proven winner to a roster that already has a championship caliber defense and a dynamic group of playmakers, that is the recipe that has worked time and time again in this league. You look at what the Buccaneers did when they brought in Tom Brady. They had the defense, they had the weapons, they just needed that final piece, the leader, the guy who could make the plays when everything was on the line. The Seahawks are not that far off from that blueprint. They have the culture, they have the coach in Mike McDonald, who is one of the brightest defensive minds in the game. They have a young, hungry defense that is only going to get better with experience. All they need is that catalyst on offense, that guy who makes everyone around him better and raises the floor and the ceiling of the entire operation. I have to be honest with you, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to me. The Seahawks have never been a franchise that is content to just be good. They want to be great. They want to hang banners. And if John Schneider sees an opportunity to add a quarterback who can help them do that, I truly believe he is going to explore every possible avenue to make it happen. He is not the kind of general manager who sits on his hands and waits for things to fall into his lap. He is aggressive, he is calculated, and he understands that in the NFL, fortune favors the bold. Of course, we have to remember that this is all speculation at this point. There is a very real chance that the Seahawks run it back with Geno Smith, give him another year in this new offensive system with these weapons, and see if he can take that next step forward. It is not a bad plan by any means. Geno is a respected leader in that locker room, and the guys love playing for him. There is something to be said for continuity and chemistry, and you do not want to mess that up lightly. But the rumors are out there, and they are not going away. The whispers about the Seahawks being a dark horse contender for a big-name quarterback, they are getting louder and more frequent, and that tells me that something is happening behind the scenes, whether it is a phone call being made, an offer being discussed, or just the front office doing their due diligence on every possible option. Something is brewing in the Pacific Northwest. The bottom line is this, Seahawks fans, you should be excited, you should be paying attention, because this offseason just got a whole lot more interesting. The possibility of a new face under center, a new leader for this offense, a new hope for a Super Bowl run. It is the kind of thing that makes the months leading up to training camp fly by. It is the kind of thing that gives us all something to dream on. Imagine the first game of the season. The crowd at Lumen Field is rocking, the energy is electric, and the Seahawks come out of the tunnel with a new quarterback leading the way, a quarterback who has been there before, a quarterback who knows what it takes to win when the lights are the brightest. That is the vision, that is the dream. And it is a dream that suddenly feels a lot more attainable than it did just a few weeks ago. So keep your eyes on the news feeds, keep your notifications on, and stay locked in with me here on the channel. Because the moment anything breaks, any trade, any signing, any hint of a move, I am going to be right here breaking it down for you. The Seahawks are a team on the rise, and they are a team that is not afraid to make the big swing. The question is, who will they swing for? And when they do, will it be the move that finally brings the Lombardi Trophy back to Seattle? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you want the Seahawks to make a splash at quarterback, or do you think they should roll with Geno Smith and trust the process? Who is the one guy you would want to see under center for the Seahawks next season? I read all the comments, and I want to hear your takes. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date on all the latest Seahawks news and rumors, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you never miss an update. I will be back with more as soon as anything develops. Until next time, take care and go Hawks.